Only comes from the best, my dude. Let's get some folks in here and talk through what is going on in the Bitsby tripping world. Got a clean haircut, not looking like a bum today. I needed that. The last few videos I've watched, it's been pretty rough to watch. I know I needed the haircut. A lot going on in the space right now. Want to bring you guys into it. The World Digital Mining Summit's taking place right now. We're going to be covering a few things that came out from that. I'm still compiling a more probably densely compact video that'll be 3 to 5 minutes explaining what's going on with, Bitmain's released a few things. There's a handful of people out there, so we're going to talk to that. Let's make sure everybody can hear us loud and clear before we go live here, or before we really dig into some of the content. First comment comes in. Don't be tripping, my dude. I hear you. Try not to, my dude. Like, trying to make sure we're bringing you guys some good content. Got some traveling trips coming up. Going to be doing some more stuff. I got BBT Vanessa doing something over here. I have no idea what's going on, like live. What do you got here? Oh, you're trying to move that cup up. There you go. Trying to make the scene. Setting the scene is what BBT Vanessa is doing right now. Brett says, hey, cheers. Awesome. You guys can hear me. Hopefully everything's good. So I wanted to go live tonight. We were going to have a different video. We're going to have the running version of that S19J Pro for you guys. It's a 104 terahash version. I think we tagged it as a 100 terahash version. It's very confusing on the Bitmain hardware. You can tell only by little distinct differences on the hardware of like which version you've gotten. I've seen and talked to other miners out there that have received the S19s, and they're like, I don't know, man. It's like a surprise box. It might be the 100 terahash. It might be the 104s. We don't know. We just want the units, they say. So somebody goes 3080 or 3090 for GPU mining. Either, if you can get them. 3090, I've always liked the 3090. It's a lot higher cost price point, but it's 24 gigs of RAM. And it's the upper tier. So it's like the one thing that you can resell pretty easily if you needed to sell it. But you're also paying a premium for it. You get a little more hashes. And over time, the 3090 has shown that it ended up being a better card. Just over, the time of buying it when it first came out last year. And then what you've been able to get from a return, getting the extra 20% hash rate out of it, 18 to 20% hash rate, ended up paying off over time. Charles says for the price per hash rate, the 3080 is better. That's facts. And I would argue that 3070 and 3060 Ti's could be made a stronger argument for when it comes to that. If you could get them originally at retail prices. Same thing with the 6800 non-XT, get you in around 63 mega hash at its original MSRP of $479 was phenomenal. Same thing with the 5700 XTs can be said for that, for their hash per original cost. So you could have got 5700s at anywhere from $379 to $429. However, we all know what the prices are right now. And it comes back and reminds me of one of the things we covered last week when I was out at Crypto World, when somebody asked me a question about, they were worried about Ethereum going to proof of stake. They were looking at the total terahash and the concern with what happens when Ethereum goes proof of stake and what happens to all that hash rate. We're up to 840 terahash on Ethereum. What happens to all that? And looking at over 100 terahash in the last month coming online leads me to believe that wasn't GPUs just coming online. There's other stuff coming online. So if it's the iPolo 5 gigahash ASIC and they decided not to sell them and just plug them in with the investor money or however they were funded for those, it makes sense. I don't know. iPolo was going to send a unit out for us to test. It was talking around August to October could have been anywhere between August to October. Haven't heard a peep. So I'm assuming iPolo just said, you know what, we're just going to plug these in and we'll just mine with them, which is what happens when you're wielding that kind of hash rate. And that's why the incentive motives with some of the basic manufacturers are just completely broken away. Like that's the difference between ASIC manufacturing and ASIC manufacturers. And I'm not giving Bitmain a complete, pause on that, because who knows if Bitmain's not plugging in units, running them for a bit, doing the burn-in test, and then reselling them. By and large, it looks like they're manufacturing and shipping them at the rates that are coming out right now, and they're just getting out of that pre-mining stage. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see if these other ASIC manufacturers are going to do this. I mean, in a silicon, I think is notorious for this. Where folks have said, "Hey, in a silicon, we're just mining with the units on investor money and pre-order money." That's the risk with ASICs. It's been that way since the turn of time. I was dealing with that for years in 2000, from 2013 on, essentially with Butterfly Labs all the way up to KNC, to Sponduli Tech, a lot of these different companies. They have the incentives are off, right? You're building the hardware, you plug it in, you make a lot more money with the hardware than trying to sell it on a retail standpoint. You could reduce your operations a lot. Just have investors make you build hardware and then you plug them in. That's part of the issue with ASICs. AMD, NVIDIA, they're just building hardware, man. They're just building it, and it's going to retail. You can buy it at retail. You can sometimes get it at the OCM, the original chip manufacturer, transition over to the actual builders, the third-party builders, ASUS and stuff will build a special GPU sometimes for people, and you'll have a certain batch that'll come out. Those are usually the mining editions that Sapphire, ASUS did, as an example. And then it'll still be a 3-tier system. It's not just manufacturer straight to putting it right to work, right? You're not that concerned. AMD and NVIDIA is not trying to build mining farms. And maybe they have a small little farm up from a research purpose, because most companies will reap what they sow with regards to having a stake in what the problem is. If there's issues and stuff with drivers and stuff, they'll have a small farm set up to understand the ecosystem. That's also called like competitive intel, because they'll have both competitor products and their products in a small farm. But don't be confused with the full little microcosms like that and full on scale complete batches running for people. So we'll see. The Bitmain announced at this conference, I believe it was today, that they have a 150 terahash unit that's supposed to go live tomorrow, which is about almost 40% faster than their current units. I couldn't get a clear graphic of what I'm trying to get the presentation. I would have put the presentation up here for you guys. But 150 terahash, the current units right now, 111 terahash. Couldn't get a clear idea of how much hash or how much power that was going to take. So if you realize the way they have these hooked up right now is around 3,500 watts is really the kind of tippy top of where you want to be. And that really comes into what's a 30 amp connection give you at a little over 5,000 watts on 240. So you're running a unit at 60 to 70% of that circuit. So if they added more hash boards and the performance per joule isn't much better, I couldn't get a good view that was that much better. It just looked like the graphic was just showing it that it was a little better hash rate, which could be just adding another board to the S19 and making the unit a little bigger. So we'll see if that's the case. Hopefully today's or tomorrow's content that comes out, we'll get a better, clearer view of that thing operating and running, and see if that's going to move the needle in Bitcoin mining. But that's one of the pieces that we wanted to talk through today. But as we get more people on here, I want to have a conversation with you guys of what's coming up for the channel. So we're super excited. We've been busy with a location. I'm going to show you guys that location that we're at. I made a tweet today. One of right out one of our windows, we get to look at a bull and a bear fighting, because we got Stifel Nicholas, which is a brokerage across the street, essentially, which is pretty funny. So I tweeted that out earlier today. I'll put a picture of that up here in a minute. Actually going to go to bring it up. But I get to look at a bulls and bears fighting every day if I go down to the office, which is kind of sweet. From just the symbolic nature of having that outside our windows. Let's switch over to this so you guys can see this. This is like literally like kind of down the street, but It gives you guys a cool view of it. Oh, I'm not plugged in. How am I not plugged in? Oh, yep. Party foul. We went live and didn't have the laptop plugged in. 1 second. That one was on me, my dudes. Let me get this moved over. And we maybe sooner than later here. All right. So let's see if we can jog this thing if I plugged in the right one. Link. It's good. We're letting people get in here. We have 2 inputs. So we have the inputs for the laptops, and then we have the input for mining rigs for you guys have 2, and they should be labeled, and I haven't labeled them. No, it's all right. It's fixed. That's what's down the street from our office. How symbolic is that? It's actually a pretty cool setup there. I you guys appreciate that. We kind of saw it in the reflection. What was that? Oh, yeah. You kind of saw it in the reflection, yeah. So our offices are a tech incubator. So these are kind of where this is the T-Rex building. It's in St. Louis. It's off of Washington Street. It's a really cool area. It's kind of hip, kind of area of town, a lot of eateries and stuff. But this is kind of a view of the offices that we're in. And this is, again, a tech incubator, which means like, they have a partially subsidized by larger companies spot for us to come into. We're gonna have space in there. And there's like, the things I'm excited for is it has a really cool meeting room. So this big meeting room here holds up to like 300 people, and we can coordinate events with it. And the way it works is these are not paid events. Like you guys, like we'll set it up to where people can make it out, register for it. And I'm wanting to do at least every other month to start with into 2022. We're going to have our first one, I believe, in December. We're actually planning it tomorrow. And we're going to have not just speakers come over, but I'll be there and have, some content for everybody live and have questions and answer. And there's a bar right behind the place. So like literally where this conference room is, right behind it, like you come out the double doors, it's a full-on bar that was built by Anheuser-Busch as one of the key sponsors for this thing. So it's a full bar, and we're working through the details there, but like having they don't have a liquor license, so they have to give the beer away for free. So I'm trying to work through that with them to figure out like how we can have the events and that it would be fully sponsored beer and all that kind of stuff. So whatever we plan there, if you're in the St. Louis area, you will have an option to get down there, register for the event. And then we can have maybe some crypto YouTubers can make it out, and we can have a little bit on like GPU mining. We'll have some example GPU mining rigs there. Go through, if it's maintenance, all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be free content. That's the key piece here, is people can make it out and see us live. And I think that will be pretty sweet because I wanted to have a space that people could start to understand, do meetups, all that kind of stuff. And this incubator, the folks are really into it. Like we've talked to the directors there, and they're really wanting to invest. It's kind of like they're investing the subsidized piece into us to help us become better for all of you, and then work with other possible crypto YouTubers to come out and, give talks and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to try to be a conduit in the mining specific, and then into maybe NFT and into proof of stake and all these other different options that are out there. That is what I'm trying to turn BBT into for us, is have, be a conduit for, good educational type of content, and then allow people to have a good, awesome environment to be part of. All of that is all good and well. Now that's part of the business piece that we're doing. And then the other part is we're doing also services for medium to larger clients. And we're helping orchestrate and get things moving for them that they want to get into this space. So if that's, consultation work, if that's helping somebody fix a farm issue, that kind of stuff too, we're ramping up for that too. So I have multiple folks that we have several folks now working for BBT, and we're also on some 1099s to allow some other people to start coming in and work for us too, and start helping out some farms to get some stability on what they're doing. Now there is cost to that, but we work within how quick can we get you online and get you scheduled and that kind of stuff. So we're pretty booked right now from November into December. We're also going to make a trip up to DMG blockchain. That was kind of a little micro spoiler alert, because folks were asking if we were going to Hut 8 or one of the other large farms up in Canada. In early December, we're traveling up to Canada. We're going to freeze our butts off. Actually, it's supposed to be a mid 40s, 50s. Vancouver, they're in the Vancouver kind of area, British Columbia area. So I don't know where actually Hut 8 is. I think they're in Ontario, but give you guys a facility visit and kind of go through some of the other aspects when it comes to enterprise level crypto, blockchain, not just blockchain. So they have like blockchain services, forensic services, stuff like that, but they also are a big miner and a contributor to hash rate to the Bitcoin network, and talk through some of that, right? And so try to give you guys some cool open exposure onto best practices, that kind of stuff when it comes to that. So, how did they solve some of those type of things? So hopefully you guys will like some of that content. Other part, this isn't it. There's a lot going on when it comes to what BBT's got going on. So Ratboy 440 says out there in Alberta, my dude. So that's for Hut 8. Thank you, sir. This is crowdsourced information. That's also known as Cunningham's law, where I say something incorrect and you guys correct me. And that's perfectly fine. That's what's great about having live streams. So if we look into what else is going on? So we got Crypto World out there in St. Charles, Missouri, where we're doing, so every Tuesday, if you're in the St. Louis area, they have a Cryptos Over Coffee. So I think that starts around 8:30 to 9 o'clock. And that is just like total community, like old school Bitcoin. You show up, you get some coffee, you talk crypto. Most of those conversations have been very centric around how do you get into mining, which has then led us to have some rigs out there at the store. There was just about 9 of the, Bitmain S19s out there. There's more being ordered. And some of our extra equipment from BBT, we're looking at bringing down some GPUs, some other power supplies, extra equipment that we're not using up at the BBT farm, as we're starting to reconfigure some stuff up there for the immersion. Bringing some stuff down there, cleaning up some stuff, and then having some rig builds out there in the store. So I'm working right now as being a part of an owner, part owner of Crypto World out there in St. Charles, because we're going to bring some equipment into the store, allow you guys to be doing some purchasing of equipment from like a retail location. So you can come out there, learn some more about crypto. There's also classes that are being taught there. Now those are paid classes, but they're more tactical for your particular question. So there's a ton of free content out there, and I always would lend people to say, we always make tons of free content out there. There's a lot of other channels that make a lot of free content out there, but understand if any other channels or anybody else, there's also paid content when it comes to more tactical. Like you're like, hey, It's awesome. You guys do a lot of free content. It's awesome. I can go there, learn a whole bunch of stuff. Man, I got like 5, 6, 10 questions. I need very specific. That's the stuff that usually gets some kind of like, I wouldn't call it privileged access, but it's like you pay a rate for that or a fee. And there's several channels that offer that kind of stuff. And there's other folks that offer those kind of services now to help you guys kind of get through just something that's tactical for your farm. There's a lot of moving parts when I'm in a mining farm, different builds, the way you've done your configuration, your different cards, all of those kind of things are usually the kind of things that people would call and book service time for. But trying to streamline that of bringing on other creators or other people that have information, and we can kind of divvy up some of that effort, because we get a lot of people that reach out to us, and I'm trying to make sure people can have a good experience when they're mining. It sucks working through issues. Everybody that has, especially GPU mining, it works through issues almost every day. GPU mining is not for the faint of heart. So how to get better at that? It's also, you know, if it's a passion, it becomes kind of one of those things you just have to nurture a lot more. But like, you know, anywhere that we can have best practices to kind of help, that is also, you know, stuff that we're looking to help bring to you guys. And that's why, like, the video like yesterday is a perfect example. We took the S19J Pro. We don't do a lot of ASIC content out here. I went out, started researching like how many breakdown videos of the S19s are there. There's like not hardly any. And you start to look at it like, well, there's not, most of the S19Js are deployed in large farms. There's no incentive for them, because they're just trying to get the things online. There's no incentive for them to like grab a video camera and start showing you guys how to do stuff. And then the few tech YouTubers that maybe have enough scale, like we're not large enough to like have somebody just airdrop us like one of these units, right? So we have to go out there and buy them. So we go out and buy them. Like most all the hardware you guys see on this channel is bought. Like I think literally everything besides like 1 or 2 units here and there have been, we purchased. So we take that time to open it up for you. So that was what I wanted to try to do for yesterday's video, is like, yeah, you can take these hash boards out. If you open up one of those S19 Pro Js, one of the very first thing they have you do is it says, please disassemble this board to make sure none of the heat sinks fell off. And you're like, read that and you're like, oh crap. Like, dude, I just want to plug this thing in. Like, what do you mean? This thing might fall apart on me? And what they're saying is the thing came from somewhere else, probably got on a plane, was not probably handled 100% the way it should have sometimes. I mean, anybody that's ever ordered anything, DHL, FedEx, UPS, doesn't matter. Like sometimes it just doesn't come the way it's supposed to. And you have to take a look at that. So like, how do you open it up? How do you slide the hash boards out? That's what the point of those kind of videos are. And we do a lot of that with the GPU cards on like GPU maintenance. And I think we need to do more of those. We haven't done enough of those. We've done a few, like, here's like how we've done like a cleanup on a GPU, but I think there's room for us to be a little more meticulous on some of those build outs for you guys. And we have that in the pipeline. That's what I'm teaching BBT Ray to do. And we could capture that and get that content produced for you guys to help you get through it. So, you know, somebody says, I want to see the 500 terahash BTC miner. I haven't seen a 500 terahash BTC miner. Somebody link me to it. If somebody links it, the bot will catch it, and then we can look at the bot and we'll try to bring it up. I haven't heard of a 500 terahash BTC miner. You could technically build as big as you want. You just couldn't power it normally. So a lot of those things have to get down to a form factor that can be powered, unless there was like a massive breakthrough. So if the world's leading ASIC manufacturer just unveiled today, the fastest unit they have and they're about to come out with is 150 terahash. I would question anybody else that comes out and says, hey, we have a 500 terahash version. Like I would, like there needs to, that should be all over planet. There should be, it should be at the event right now, plugged in, independent verification, sent out to a couple different large YouTubers, somebody that can independently verify 500 terahash. So I would be careful if anybody tries to sell you the fact that there's a 500 terahash unit out there, because use your brain and look at the highest, largest, biggest company out there and what's their product. And not saying that somebody else can't come out there and innovate something, but you know, if somebody's producing a 500 terahash unit, it's probably one, it might not even go straight to sell. It might go straight to the largest farms out there in the world, and they would be like, hey, look what we got. Made in Tesla privately. Yeah. Okay. You could have you could take an S19 and take those boards out and refactor it. You could get one more board in there, which is what's making me wonder if the newest S21 or whatever they're going to call it, the 150 hash, is that the S19 with an extra board in it. That's what I'm trying to find out right now. Hopefully we can find that out. But that would be interesting. I'm reading through some of the comments here. Somebody says I can't find crap. You ever tested the Samsung unit? No. Haven't seen it. A mom and pop unit. That doesn't even make sense. It was a Frankenstein unit. So that could have been somebody tying a whole bunch of S9 hash boards together and making one super unit that uses a full 50 amp. I mean, you could technically do that, but so the difference, when I look at it from anybody that's saying, hey, I got a 500 terahash unit, first thing I look at is what's the watts joules, because you could build out whatever you want. And then as long as you have a right supply input, let's say you're using a 50 amp unit, you could technically scale that to where now you're using a 50 amp connection like you would use on like a camper. And I have a 330 terahash unit that plugs into 50 amps, and my terahash versus how much power it's using is the same efficiency as a S19, right? So then all you've really done is just added more hash boards and said that you're faster. So we'll see how that is. Are your video cards for using heat in your house? Soon. It's getting cold enough now. The nights are getting down to about 30 degrees here. We've had a few nights that have been under 30, but we're real close. I'm going to be doing this Ravencoin cruise coming up. That's coming up Friday. So you guys will see a few little vloggy style videos over the week next week. When it comes to the Ravencoin, we're going to be talking to Tron Black and a few of the other folks that are coming out there for the Ravencoin cruise. And it's going to be my getting back familiar with what has progressed over the last 6 months with Ravencoin. Because short of tracking it and mining it at a limited scale, there's been a lot of NFT development. There's a lot of push for some of the new updates. There's a latest update I know that just came out that required everybody to update their wallet. Like, I want to get through a kind of a punch list of things. Let Tron have the discussion, talk through some of the innovation with it. You know, the number, I got a question today. It was funny. A friend called me and was like, hey man, like playing the DeFi soup here of different coins, testing out the waters and stuff, making sure you got his ANS airdrop. Says, why isn't Ravencoin on Coinbase? I'm like, I don't know, dude. Good question. Like, I mean, there's a few speculative things out there with it. Why they haven't is that they have either a pretty decent bag of it and Coinbase is slow rolling it until after the halving, or it takes advantage of the halving time frame to list it also. All of the dependencies that are required to get it listed on Coinbase, from my understanding, are done. Meaning Tron and the development team had to ensure when you go to try to list a coin with Coinbase, you have to go through like kind of this questionnaire. The other thing is I've had to explain to people is it's easy for Coinbase to add a fellow crap coin if it's on an already other established network. There isn't much they have to do short of audit that smart contract versus any of the other smart contracts out there. They don't have to like spin up a new node. When you bring on an entire other cryptocurrency into the ecosystem, there's more work that has to be done. So you're hosting a node, you're validating like any of the development path on that. When you make another coin that's on an existing network that's in Coinbase, the level of effort's low. It's low hanging fruit. So they're going to list whatever. which is the way a lot of these different exchanges are doing it. They're trying to get on the hype train and just get part of that stack, right? Listing a coin that has a network that has to have the integration to match up with what their exchange is a different level. And yes, Ravencoin was based on Bitcoin's code. It should be quote unquote easy, but there were things that are different with Ravencoin, which is what's different in a lot of these different coins. And when I try to explain like why do people spend other coins up, it could be for a whole bunch of reasons. It could be for a speculative thing to try to pump up their bags and issue a security and get rich and then just pay the fines. It could be, there's quite a few that are doing that. So buyer beware, do your research type of stuff. Or you have people, talented developers that want to make a change on a network and they can't influence that change on that network, right? So if it's a core change, something that actually makes a change to the protocol level, if they can't make that change on the particular network, then they have to either join a team and just forget what they're trying to do, or they launch a new coin with those changes as part of that new coin and part of that innovation that they're bringing. That's the way a lot of these smaller networks come up. They have a vision and they have the development team that wants to build that vision. Now it comes back into how do you sustain that development team? And that's where you see a lot of these different coins having different governance models out there that will take a part of the reward to give to a development team to make sure the development team can stay functional and have a clear path. Like any of the coin users are the product owners. So like traditional development stack, you have a product owner, somebody cares, somebody's paying for the show. Cryptocurrency, decentralized network, like what do people care about? Like, why would I use this token? Is it a utility? Can I speculate against it? Can I use some other kind of function, or can it have some other benefit in the ecosystem? Those are questions that if developers try and put in there, how do they make sure their funding is? If you look at Ethereum, a lot of people, I had this conversation today in our new office space. We were trying to explain who we are and what what we do as Bitsby Trippin'. And I was explaining cryptocurrency to people, and somebody was like, well, you can still mine ETH, but it isn't going away. Yeah. And I'm like, they had no idea that ETH was essentially an ICO when it started. ETH has a vision of, like 4 developers and came together, Gavin Wood, Vitalik Buterin, Charles Hoskinson, Lubin, they all came together and was like, let's make this thing, but we got to make sure we're funded. And they did a raise, 80 million Ethereum, just broken up in, these little packages that are 70 cents a piece, right? And you could buy Ethereum at 70 cents a piece. And that was the raise, the capital that got them started, right? Some other coins come out and they start fair market launch, and part of the reward goes to a development team, right? There's different implementations that are out there, and you look at what's the reward strategy. And I always look at it like each of these are dynamics that are like little game theories of like, what's the incentive motives for a developer to stay on target and continue to develop, or elicit more developers, talented developers as years go on to take over the torch of it. The initial developers always have this, like, they were in the beginning, they have a lot more coin. So like something like Ethereum, it's hard. You have to have that kind of other rich environment that allows other developers to partake in the development of maybe new functionality that then would have some kind of mechanism to rent seek on it for them to be able to be funded, right? So it's all of that game theory that's out there on these different tokens. When you look at something like Ravencoin, it was fair market launch. There isn't a built-in dev token that keeps development going. It's done through a foundation and people donating. So like Ravencoin's like trying to do crypto on hard mode compared in this society where you have decentralized autonomous organizations that have built-in smart contracts that pay people. So it's an interesting, and that's why like people are like, why do you root for Ravencoin? Man, it's the underdog, my dudes. It's like a pure underdog in this space, in the ecosystem of other tokens that reminds me of the startup when it first came out, Litecoin, Bitcoin, Ravencoin have the same core principles of the way they launched and how they go. Now you do have a collection of coins that have went to a large one single wallet. 43% I think is on one wallet. And I believe that's Binance. Don't know that for 100%, but a large holder of it is out there. And that's what happened. If you look at the early days pre-halving Bitcoin, Mt. Gox had a huge portion of the cryptocurrency network of Bitcoin at the time. Pre-halving, that's a big key factor there. Pre-halving Bitcoin, Mt. Gox. Right after halving Bitcoin, Mt. Gox. And you look at how many coins that were out there in a single exchange at the time pre-halving. So it's still a young network. So yeah, that was a long way of saying, and these are kind of the tangents I know you guys love, of why it's different, right? It's to me personally. Now, again, do your own research, right? That's my reasons why I look into it. There's a couple other networks that are out there that are doing very good and offer a whole bunch of other utility that are different than something like Ravencoin. Ravencoin's a very tier 1 cryptocurrency, protocol. Then you have other layer 2 stuff with other coins that are out there that have different governance models when it comes to some of its proof of work, some of its hybrid proof of stake. So now you can have kind of both entities. You have different incentive motives, coming into each of those. But I would say if you're doing research on what to pick and how to get in and hold a bet, create a bag of whatever, do the research of what the point of the coin was. What are they trying to do? What's the development path? How are they funded? All of those kind of things matter. They matter because is developers just one day going to go, we made it, bros, let's dip. And then now all the development falls off of it, right? You look at Dogecoin, you look at some of these other large cap coins that haven't had an update in forever. Are they getting protected from some of the critical updates that are found because they were based on code base that has been reviewed a million times, but sometimes there's critical updates that are found. And is that critical update still in these other coins and exchanges? This is the kind of telemetry and data from an organizational standpoint that our team, BBT, is looking to create as a data service at some point. That, if you're a good developer and know what I'm talking about right now, hit me up. Slide into my DMs, my dudes. I think it's a much needed thing. A good graphical view, if you call it a matrix view of where each main code base layer 1 is at. Were they freshly minted? Or was it its own thing, or was there a copy of something, and what core code is it on? Are they as susceptible to vulnerabilities, that kind of stuff? Somebody goes thoughts on Shiba, my dudes. I had a couple of videos out there on thoughts on Shiba. I'm gonna leave it there. Somebody says, "What's up, Bits Between?" Yeah, there you go. I was with Mt. Gox since 2012. That was a rough ride. Mt. Gox really kind of jacked with people for a little bit there. But anybody that lived through Cripsy and a couple of the other ones, Big Vern took all my money. He took most of my Litecoin, all my Ravencoin, or all my Feathercoin, or a bulk of my Feathercoin. I've lost a lot on exchange failures. I lost some on BTCE because that was one of the only exchanges you could use back in the day when it went down. Raptoreum, I've looked into a little bit. I spent a little bit of time on that. I mean, it looks pretty new, but it has a built-in dev fee, it looked like. CPU coins are dangerous to me because CPU coins, if they get large enough and there's enough liquidity somewhere, the incentive to be malicious is high because there's so many CPUs readily available that are in every PC out there in the world. And if you have something that's dedicated CPU, you have this kind of weird incentive to where people write software to take over PCs and create large botnets to use their CPU power to mine the CPU coin. So it's an unfortunate byproduct of trying to keep a thing that's heavy CPU dependent. And you'll see botnets attacking. You'll see it built into we've seen this with XR, was it Monero, XRM. So when there was huge botnets forever with Monero because it was a CPU driven coin, and you would have universities and schools getting it. Now, most of the IT infrastructure in the world and stuff has been now cognizant of what stratum and protocol based cryptocurrency mechanisms. If it's miners or if it's some kind of malware, it's gotten pretty savvy on capturing that and filtering that kind of stuff out, so your endpoints won't ever actually be able to send the packages. But there are some pretty clever ways to like locally mine and then send the results. It's just at a disadvantage, to where it's not real time trying to solve, to where it'll just do local and then it'll try to use it as a local node type of thing. But like there's just the behavior with CPU coins is interesting. Taking a question from the field here. BBT Vanessa shooting it at me. What's with Compass Mining sponsor in the previous video? So Compass Mining has been sponsoring the videos. I took sponsors for the first time in August, I believe. It was August or the end of July. End of July, we started taking some sponsors. So I know Wick Gibbs pretty well, which is the CEO of Compass Mining. And I had not taken like any paid sponsors for a long time. And we were looking at expanding. And I was like, the channel's been around long enough. And BBT, most of you guys know the few folks that are in here, the 123 people here. Some of you guys have known us for a long time, since 2013, out here providing you guys free content. And he's like, hey, how do we help you guys grow? That's what he comes through. He's like, how can we help? And I was like, if we did a sponsorship with you guys, then I want to be able to expand. And for that, I want to make sure that people know, and if they're going to operate, from a Bitcoin network standpoint, we'll start Bitcoin. It's easier to entry, a lot more higher expense to get a Bitcoin miner, but they provide a service that is, I think, unique in the space from a delivery standpoint. So a lot of people can provide you a service when it comes to selling a piece of hardware, but that follow on from a care and feeding, making sure you're up and running, a help desk, like a dashboard that shows you how your unit's doing. If you're not doing the Compass at home where they ship the unit to your house, you're doing it from a co-location. There's been a few companies out there that have tried this and have been lacking, as I would say, on giving folks support. There's been a few outright scams also in that space when you talk kind of a quote unquote cloud model. Compass isn't a cloud model. You actually get the unit and it's sitting in a data center in the United States. If you're buying in the US, they also have China. I think they have Kazakhstan and a couple, well, most of the China stuff's moved now, but I like what they were providing from a hardware opportunity for people to participate. So we worked out that deal to where it would be a sponsored, some of the stuff would be sponsored content from. So the videos that you guys see there, we are hardcore miners. I've always been miners since day one. And I wanted to align myself with a good company that was around that space. So we might have a few others. We're looking into, we do little small content like Bit Capital Group. If you guys seen a few videos back, Bit Capital Group came out. They're a medium-sized miner for a group of investors, and they were looking to hire people. And they came to me and said, hey, we're looking to hire somebody that knows how to maintain GPU mining equipment, knows how to operate, run, remote manage, all that kind of stuff. And it's a hard thing to fill. It's not something you're going to just go find, right? So they would come to somebody like me that does it every day, and like, you have an audience that also mine. So a lot of the tech YouTubers, folks that are out there, like, how can we find this person? So we built a video around what an ideal person that works in a GPU mining farm would do as an operator. And that's the kind of targeted content that has a meaning. It's like that whole thing wasn't an ad. It was, we're trying to find somebody that's going to get hired and work in this space for their day job, and then possibly be able to get another opportunities to, or maybe they eventually become part owner in another farm or something at some point. That's the kind of stuff that gets me up in the morning to help folks that are passionate about this space. So any of our sponsors that we groom through that. That's why you've only pretty much seen Compass, Asic Jungle, Big Capital Group. I think that's it, right? That's it. That's all we've done. We've done 3 sponsors on this channel. Because, and there's a lot of sponsors that reach out, and I'm not big. I'm not that big compared to, Voscoin or some of these other channels. But the amount of large cap people that want to advertise with us, is pretty large. I'm talking like crypto.com, FTX. Like, we have opportunities to be sponsored by those folks, and it's, I'm trying to make sure that it's moving you guys forward, not necessarily trading you guys out of your coins. So we haven't made agreements with those folks yet, until I can get to an understanding with somebody that what's the education content I can provide you guys that helps you move the needle and not get screwed out of your stuff, right? So it's pretty hard terms in a dog eat dog world on this kind of stuff. And it doesn't matter if it's old school finance or it's new school finance like this with DeFi and stuff like that. I've tried. That's why we're not, showing you guys all kinds of different types of coins, the coins that we talk about. I tell you why. The coins that we talk about also, usually always have some level of an investment in. So I'm personally staked there. So I tell you why. So I know it's not like we're not going to become, like large YouTube stars or something. And got it. Like, we get organic growth the way it is, but we're also not, trying to lead you guys down that path. I'd rather to be known for you guys to know that I've helped you guys get into a place that started you somewhere. It wasn't the end all be all. I'm a data point for some of you folks out there of helping you get to some of the information that we see through our experiences. And if I've made that point, I've hit it. And that's why, expanding to the place in St. Louis and allowing you guys to have some conference stuff to come to. And we have an awesome, next few months, like awesome. We're going to go out that again, DMG blockchain up in Canada in December. We're doing the Ravencoin cruise leaving on Friday. You guys will see that. And we're talking to folks at Ravencoin out there for the cruise. We're going to CES in January. So that's January 2nd. We're going to be out there for the media days. And that's like not typically a crypto related content. There is crypto related content, but it's far more this year than I've ever seen it. That's going to be covering all things from NFTs all the way through up and down the stacks of Solana and all these other different networks and stuff. So we're going to try to do a full court press coverage. We just got done with the 8th badge. So I have everybody in the BBT ecosystem, besides I think BBT Todd, he's not going to make it, out there. And BBT Ray, because he's not 21 yet, and I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to have, somebody not 21 out there with us, going to, it's just not in this day and age. Like, nope, and nope. Big nope. Sean Hill out there, BBT live. That's right, my dude. We got one of the questions. How's Twitter or Twitch doing too? We got Twitch going. Is it worth building a farm? I've always said yes. I think Bitcoin, GPU mining is not going away. Bottom line, it's not going away. There's too much, not just too much staked interest. It literally is proof of work. You are a decentralized participant upholding the security of a network. It's not going away. The question is are you in an area and do you have the right? Are you buying in or have an opportunity to buy in on your hardware side and be able to get hardware? Is the big question right now. And you're going to pay a premium right now for the hardware because we're at all-time highs. Like, we're literally at all-time highs, like for a lot of things. Like, it's crazy right now. What's crazy is like, even when we're the 127 viewers, and I love every one of you. Thank you all for taking the time to spend some time with us. But just like the low engagement by comparison to where, like, when we weren't at all-time highs and we were in a bear market, we'd have like 500 people on here. Free BBT Ray, somebody says. A few more years, my dudes. So somebody asked S19 or S9? S9 Plus, not running your house. What about the co-location? So the cost of an S9 Plus running in a colo, the problem is that most of the colos are now, well, I mean, S9 and M31, what's mine are really close from a physical standpoint. So we don't have any colo yet. We're working on trying to get that. That takes a lot more time than you can imagine. I've been trying to get it for the last month and a half. And the things that I'm held up on are things that I shouldn't be held up on. But it's just the state of the world right now, trying to get anything fast. From if it's the power company not being able to get transformers, to workers being tasked when it comes to like doing a power hookup, that kind of stuff. Even some of the stuff that we've had for the immersion, waiting for components for the immersion, has been nuts. So I would say if you have nowhere to put it, then it might make sense to sell it and take those coins and either redeploy them on an already deployed unit somewhere. It just might be faster, is what I'm saying. What was the other question? What do I think about Octominer? Yeah. Have never tested, never messed with any of the Octominer stuff. I would love to tell you, but I couldn't even get to buy one. How feasible is Doge? It works. It's built off the original Litecoin code, which was Bitcoin. So it was a fork of Litecoin. It's Doge works fine. It's I just would be careful of going all in on it. And then what was the last one? We'll take a few more questions. We're gonna wrap this up in about 1 hour. What about crypto gaming? I think eventually, with some of the stuff that they're trying to do with like networks like Solana, things. So Solana, Polkadot, if you're talking side chains, parachains, all that kind of stuff, you're trading a level of decentralization for centralization and federation. So if you're okay with the concept that you have an atomic factual thing that occurred that is semi-centralized / decentralized, looks and feels like a blockchain, then crypto gaming is going to be bang up and is going to do great. It just comes down to what's the point. It's like, so here's the advantage of so what I'm saying is like Solana and all that kind of stuff, low node count. They've been able to restart the network from essentially scratch when they had a hard stop. With regards to like making a code change and just having everybody reboot their node. That would never happen in a proof of work decentralized network. So like they're different animals. So like if everybody's cool with that, then yeah, understanding that the governance model is a little more federated than it is decentralized. So if you're going there with the pretenses that something like Solana is equivalent to something like Bitcoin with more features, they're completely different. If you're okay with that mindset and that understanding, it's fine. It's great. It comes down to, and the reason why I'm answering it the way I am is it's like I don't want to say it's a tomato type of thing. It's like a tomato and a wrench, right? They're way different kind of concepts from a network effect concept. So they're using smart contract code. The node structure is a lot different. They're using layer 2, which is a separation from that base layer to speed up transaction, to have a very high speed transaction set. I think the innovation side of it is going to change and be awesome for gamers, because you can get into this concept where you can have a wallet and you can have items for a particular game. And now you have this whole secondary market, kind of like a Steam store, but not fully centralized, to where now you have this like secondary market for all things. If we get into a thing to where gaming skins and tags and items can be interchangeable and get into this like crazy concept where one game item could be used in another game in some way, because they'll open up some kind of IP to where you can have a generalized thing and some kind of profit sharing. If like you bring a sword from like WoW into some other kind of game, and now the WoW is getting some kind of royalty because somebody decided to bring that into one side. Like you could get into some crazy internetworking things from an item level using something like NFTs in gaming, like that are just, we haven't even seen the edge of that. And I think that's cool because we don't know what's in the realm of possible without trying that. And I like that part of it. But I understand that in a box that isn't, resting on the idea that this is decentralized and like it's the innovation of, moving away from a game company. Because at the end of the day, it's still sitting on a whole bunch of Solana servers that are owned by super entities, not by the common person that's running a machine at their desk. If that makes sense. It was kind of a long way to say that, but that's my only criticality of that. So I think I kind of blew your heads up there. Nice. Crypto world people in chat that we met representing. What's up? Gold shell KD5 for 51K. Is it a good deal, my dudes? I'm very skeptical on. So here's an example. iPolo was supposed to come out with a 5 gigahash Ethereum miner. It was supposed to be out months ago. There's a chance that it is out, but it's just deployed and running. What would a 5 gigahash Ethereum miner running 2,800 watts cost right now? And I think that's the same answer as that KD5 right now on 51K, because that network has really seen explosive growth. But does it make sense for you to invest that kind of money in an item that if that network loses that growth, like now you're stuck with a $51,000 piece of machinery that you can't resell? That's my risk on something that high of cost. Like even a Bitcoin miner right now is, $12,056 on order.bitmain.com. Pay 25% tariff on that, unfortunately. So now you're up to about 15K on the latest and greatest from Bitmain, for the world's largest network. Something that now is costing almost 3 to 4 times more expensive on a network that's not as known and has a lot of explosive growth. Like, I don't know, man. I would say, is that worth your stomach if it goes to zero? Not to zero. Nothing. I don't think a lot of things go to zero. Hell, things that went to zero, that Squid Game that went to zero live, which was hilarious to watch the dude's reaction on that nobody didn't see that on NFT or that network that somebody spun up. It started getting price discovery after it. Like it went up 600%, and it's like, people, they're going to do it again and take your money. But so nothing really actually goes to zero. Like it just goes to almost zero, and then people lose 99.9%. And then somebody starts probably buying it back up, and maybe you might be able to get it at 70% out or something. But I would just say proceed with caution on any unit that is that much money. That is purely an example of price gouging, because there's no way when they built a unit that nobody set a unit cost of a KD5 at $51,000. They're taking advantage of the cost. Just be careful. The iPolo device, somebody goes 100K. Yeah, I look at it like, if you can, let's say they target ROI time on that iPolo 5 gigahash Ethereum miner, and they say right now 5 gigahash gets about $2,200 a week. So if that's about close to $10,000 a month on 5 gigahash at 2,800 watts, then what's the price should be? So let's say they go to 10 months, right? Because 10 is easy to do the math on. So 100K would be a 10-month ROI. Somebody said 100K. So yeah, so why would iPolo not sell that for at least 100K and have everybody risk the fact that ETH either goes up and they even though they gain less yield, and that 5 gigahash only yields them $1,700 a week because maybe the hash rate keeps going up and the price stays the same. But if the price goes to $4,500 or $5,000, now you're not getting as much yield, but you're still getting 2,200 or more a week. You know, you get your ROI, but you get less yield. Yeah, so I think Apollo is just using the machines because they don't want people to come hunt them down if you try to sell a machine for $100,000 a unit and then nobody makes their ROI. The KD5 right now is making 13K a month. Somebody says right now. I mean, but easy come, easy go, right? So like, is that network going to stay at that rate when it gets that kind of 13K price pressure to try to make your money back on that machine? That's why you guys see I'm indirectly explaining why GPU mining is so nice, because there's so many hedges on it. It's like, oh man, this coin ETH went to proof of stake in 8 months to a year, and it's at almost 1,000 terahash, right? Almost to a petahash, and nothing else got price discovery. So now where's all these GPUs go? Well, there's gonna be a lot of happy gamers. They're gonna have the best deals in the world on GPUs, possibly. But if which is what I believe is going to happen, just because of the inertia that's behind this space, is that there's going to be price discovery. I'll end on this little point that I made at Crypto World's video. Somebody's asking me about Ethereum Classic. They were like, who has the best to gain? Who has the best opportunity to gain when Ethereum moves proof of stake? And everybody thought I was going to come out and say Ravencoin, and I didn't. I said Ethereum Classic does. Ethereum Classic has everything to gain from Ethereum moving to proof of stake. They have everything to gain because the network effect of being able to pick up all of these other miners that just have to change a few small little configuration items and do nothing to their network, do nothing to their hardware, because it's effectively the same exact algorithm, really close. There's a few tweaks, the GTC cache versus Ethash. But your heat, your configuration, your power settings, all of that stuff that you have to manage when you go from Ethereum to Ravencoin, as an example, or to some of these other coins, you have to make tweak changes. You have to maybe respec your power situation because Ravencoin uses more power if you don't respec it, right? Like you have to bring your core down. You have to do things. Ethereum Classic, you don't. You just flip over to it, right? Ethereum Classic right now is 25, 27 terahash. It might be a little more because the network had a bump, like in price. While I'm doing this, I'm just going to look up Ethereum Classic hash rate. So Ethereum Classic hash rate, I'm just pulling up on my laptop here. So it's a 27 terahash. I didn't look and I guessed it. That's just experience, I guess. 27.42 terahash. When Ethereum went down in price to $86 in 2020, March of 2020, around COVID time and all that. Everybody's freaking out. The market freaked out. Ethereum Classic dropped down to, Ethereum dropped down to $86. The network hash rate was around 124 to 140 terahash. And there was 2 coins per 15 seconds because they had already done the second reduction from they went from 5 to 3, 3 to 1, 3 to 2. So every 15 seconds, 2, and there wasn't DeFi yet. DeFi really hadn't taken off yet, right? DeFi didn't take off until in the summer. So you still had only 2 coins per block happening on Ravencoin, on Ethereum itself, and you had $86 price point. Now it was quickly went back up to $124 or whatever else, but Ethereum Classic has 3 coins per block, same block time, and it's a 27 terahash. So your yield, and it's at $62 right now. So it's really close, like 86, 62. I mean, like they're not that far apart, and it's 27 terahash, or Ethereum went all the way down to 87. So like your yield, when people look at like, do you care about, oh, we're getting killed on yield, we're getting killed on price, we're getting killed. Like, dudes, like we've never had it better ever as miners in this space. GPU miners today has never had it better than right now. Ethereum, May of this, be pre-1559, could be argued during certain peak periods of 1559, pre-1559 in May of this year was the best. However, from agnostic to a month of great performance, all of these different networks are in profit and in requirement for security. And they're under security valued compared to Ethereum per hash rate. And that's not caught. Like, I don't see other channels covering it. Like, nobody's catching it. And it's because everybody chases the top dog, right? That's most profit. You go to Ethereum. You're still better even with a far less yield because Ethereum's $4,700. Ethereum Classic has everything to gain. Ethereum Classic, Ravencoin, some of these coins that have tons of yield per your hash rate, even though it's not the most profitable, it's all about yield and hodl over a certain period of time there. Ethereum Classic, somebody's going to get a majority of that hash rate initially, especially when Ethereum moves over to proof of stake. Which coin's it going to be? I argue that no matter what I care about and how much I've researched Ravencoin, we're about to go on that Ravencoin cruise, or any of these, Ethereum Classic has everything to gain because it's the least line of resistance for people to move over to it. And a network setting at 72 terahash right now. And it had price discovery up to $175 this year. So it's one to look at. People have asked me this question over and over and over again. I think that's going to be probably the next number one. It also has everything to gain from the tech stack because it does have an EVM. It can import a lot of the technology that's in Ethereum, and it can make quicker pivot changes to make things from a fee potential where you could have Matic integration, you could have DeFi integration, and promote a lot more smoother transition to layer 2 and get all the same network effects as what Ethereum's doing, but with people that might listen to you. So it's very interesting over the next few months. People ask me, am I still bullish about GPU mining? Absolutely. Are you kidding me? Like, for sure. We all have Intel. I said this was the last thing. I'm still going a little bit. We have Intel coming into the mix on gaming graphics cards. Is that going to relieve pressure on everybody? How are they going to perform? Are they using GDDR6? Are they going to use HBM2? Are they going to use some kind of derivative of GDDR6? Like, there's so much cool stuff coming out, my dudes. This is why we're going to CES. We're going to check into this. If you guys don't follow and subscribe and share this stuff, I don't know what's wrong with you. I just don't. Like you should be doing this. I'm starting to show myself a little more. Like, we are going to cover all this cool stuff for you guys. I live it, love it, and excited about it. Can't wait. Does ETC really get hit by a 51% attacks? It did. It got hit like 4 times, 3 times, something like that. But in November of last year, they put in a fix for that. It's called mass exponential subjective scoring. I don't know why I remember these things. It takes effectively a checkpoint and says, if you were to attack our network, you would need, if you had more than 51% and a new chain is discovered, it's a 51% attack, you would have to take whatever that target difficulty is, what you're coming in with, and times it by 37. Times it by 37. So if somebody comes in 27 terahash, they come in, let's say 18 terahash, 19 terahash, and say, we're the longest network. We're 51% attack in this network. Take 18 times 37. What's that end up coming to? If it was 20 times 37, would be like 600 and some change, I think, right? So 600 terahash, you would need almost the entire network of Ethereum right now, or at least 80% of it, to attack Ethereum Classic. And we have pretty high confidence that 80% of Ethereum, like, there isn't enough GPUs on Ethereum to do that right now, because there's a good, probably 30% as asics on Ethereum, if not more. So it is what it is. And that's the largest GPU mining coin in the planet. So you have that. You have 51% protection on Ravencoin. Ravencoin got 51% attacked. Vertcoin's been 51% attacked. Pretty much every small cap coin has been 51% attacked that did not have some kind of other pivot or adjustment to make sure that they could not or had a very low probability of getting 51% attacked because they've created some other kind of feature, some kind of checkpointing, that kind of thing. All the trading stuff. So a lot of people ask questions about how trading coins, like you mine the most profitable, you trade into the other thing. So a lot of it comes down to how you get that ETH. So if you're configured in the most efficient way to mine ETH and get paid out in Matic or get paid out in layer 2, it's actually a better play to buy the coin. It's actually a better it's a better play to mine and get the layer 2 and then convert it over on an exchange or wherever else. Keep all your fees low. If you're paying high fees on something like Ethereum, then it ends up being not worth it because you're all of the advantage you have by mining Ethereum and it being the most, and then converting it over to the other coin, you would technically get more yield for that. That's the whole game. You could get it down if you did it efficiently, to where it would be better to mine Ethereum and then move it into another coin. So if it's Ravencoin or if it's some other coin, Ethereum Classic or Vertcoin, Flux, any of these coins that have done very well lately, you could convert that, but you have to do it in a mechanical way that ensures that you're paying the least amount of fees. And remember, any kind of transaction that you create a tax liability on yourself on a potential additional tax liability on yourself, especially within the US. So you got to be conscious of that. Well, I think I'm gonna wrap this up. Hour and 11 minutes. Hopefully you guys like this content. I haven't done a live stream in a minute. Been about a week. About to go on that cruise on Friday. We're gonna have at least one more video, maybe two if we're lucky. All comes back down to can we get everything. I got the team. I'm trying to work with the team. I'm gonna be back out at our offices tomorrow. Maybe I can do a quick live stream out there in the office and kind of walk you guys through if you guys would like that. I think that would be kind of cool. Yeah. So tomorrow we'll go through. Maybe we'll do a live stream out there at the office. We can just walk you guys through with the gimbal and just be hooked up and show you guys where our office is at. And then if you guys care about that, we can do that. Lauren says Matic payments out on Ethereum mining is amazing. All right, my dudes. Hopefully this was good. It was fun. It was real fun for me. I always enjoy doing this with you guys. I really do, truly do. So I'm going to let you guys get back to it. Like, subscribe, follow, share early and often. Make sure you're following me on Twitter if you haven't done that. I put a lot of content on Twitter. I'm trying to get hip in this space and put stuff on like TikTok and all that other YouTube shorts. We're still not all the way there. Just to ensure that we're catching some of that audience that are being misled into safe mode and all this other crap. So I'm trying to make sure that people have a baseline of good content. Thomas dropped a $4.99 super chat right here at the end. 36 GPU, 5,000 watts. Nice, my dude. Any bear market insight? Yeah. I think this is all bull right now, my dude. There's nothing really stopping this train right now unless somebody comes down with a band hammer somewhere.